Greetings and welcome to Session 1, Video 3 of 7, Technology Entrepreneurship. In this video, we're going to talk about some of the common myths of technology entrepreneurship and also some of the benefits to society. Well, one myth is that all new companies and startups is how we characterize entrepreneurship, or what we recognize that a company doesn't necessarily have to be new. We talked about that briefly last time. We could have acquired a business or in some way purchased a business or perhaps even joined a business that is existing, ongoing, but not necessarily new. But it's generally characterized by this new market, new product, new service, new adventure type of characterization, if you will. And one other myth is that it's all about beating the competition. Well, the competition is important, but as someone once said, if we didn't have competition, we would have to invent it. And part of the reason is competition gives us contrast for our respective products and services. So beating the competition maybe isn't quite the right mindset. We might want to think about how could we complement the competition? How might we utilize the competition that has validated or justified, qualified a market or market opportunity? Or how may we potentially look at competitors as collaborators that could actually support our cause? So what we encourage our others to think about is to go beyond just thinking about being competitive and us and them, but how you may actually work together, potentially support one another. Another myth is that it's all about taking really high risk, that these risk factors are extraordinary and you're going to lose all your money. And what we'll learn is that while there are risks, we want to learn to manage those risks and understand what some of the factors are associated with them and do our best to mitigate the risk. And by employing specific methods and practices, we minimize the potential that we're going to run into trouble or that we're going to lose money or that we won't achieve our goals. Another myth is that a person either has it or doesn't. And this is really an important one to be aware of. Oftentimes, we look to entrepreneurs that have achieved great success, and those are the ones we hear the most about because they make their way into the news. And we begin to compare ourselves perhaps and just wonder, gee, do I really have what it takes? And what I want to encourage you to recognize is that you can learn how to be an entrepreneur. We can learn the methods. We can learn the practices. We can develop the skills and the mindset and become familiar with and exercise the ways of thinking that help us to engage entrepreneurial practices and pursue entrepreneurial ventures. And the last here is that you must have some form of intellectual property or somehow type of a patent. And while these things can be useful and can be very, very helpful, it's not a hard requirement. Oftentimes, we offer our products and services as a novel solution to a specific problem, and that may not include intellectual property. It might include what we call trade secrets or just doing things in a way that has a unique combination of the resources that we have available to us. So it's important to think about these myths, and you may have some of your own that you think about, but just recognize it and try to scratch beneath the surface and look inside of yourself and think about your scenario. And do these things really apply to you? And if you feel that one does, then try to go to the next step and really understand what are the issues that you need to sort of unpack that and begin to understand how to approach that particular myth or that issue. Now, how does society benefit? Well, the obvious is economics, and that's been, by and large, the primary driver. Economic development, offering more employment, and entrepreneurial businesses in a region enhance the tax revenues to regions and so forth. But we also know that society benefits from personal health and safety and well-being and just better ways of doing things, as new products and services and from the technology sector, harvest scientific technology and apply it to new and contemporary problems and new ways of approaching old problems, we find that it can improve our quality of life. So thus the reference to well-being in general, whether it's the efficiency factor or perhaps even entertainment. Overall, improving the quality of life is something that is a great benefit to society. And we also recognize that entrepreneurial ventures can bring about social change. And this is something relatively new that's only come up in maybe the last few years. We begin to recognize, for example, how social media has been used to bring political messages and actually enhance awareness. And of course, that can go the other direction as well. If social media is used to promote false information or to be misleading. So it's a kind of a double-edged sword, but the key factor here is to recognize that there are a number of different ways that new technology, entrepreneurship, and ventures, products, and services can bring about social change and contribute towards social change. And because technology, entrepreneurship can be flexible and adaptable as it needs to approach the particular methods and practices in relation to social change or change in general. And it always takes into consideration what is the need, what is the market, what is the trend, what are the available resources. So to the extent that entrepreneurial endeavors can be flexible and adaptable to changing conditions, it can support the type of social change and evolutionary change and progressive change that we're all more familiar with. So there's a range of different benefits to society. There's many more than this. Just wanted to touch on a couple. And I think that will finish up our video 3 of 7. So, okay, I'll see you shortly on video 4 of 7. Cheers.